Uh,
Here today with Heath Clawson of the Elgin Wildcats. How are you doing today, Coach?
Doing well. Thank you for asking, Tony. How are you?
I am doing well. Nothing going on right now. Football season's over. You just kind of sit around and no way. This is the busiest time of year for a high school coach with sports that are just wrapping up and spring football and testing and getting ready for graduation. But you're getting to see your kids in the weight room. You're getting to see them competing in other sports. How's it going in the spring?
It's going really well. Been real pleased with these kids that have competed in basketball. We have a handful that competed in soccer, powerlifting. We had a bunch of guys do really well there. Had several go to regionals, and one actually make it to state, and a couple more that were close. Track. We had a lot of kids out competing, and we're in a really tough district, but still got some kids out, to the area meet and a couple to regionals. And then baseball punched their ticket, ended up second in district, and we played tonight against Crockett. And so watching them compete in these other sports is a lot of fun, and see them excel, especially because the focus that we put on lifting weights and things like that, and trying to develop them as athletes. It's fun to watch it carry over to those other sports and help them succeed in those. So that's been a lot of fun. And then starting spring ball, and it's the one thing about spring ball is you start it, and then before you know it, you turn around, it's over. And so but that's been great. Kids have been flying around and having fun out there, and it's our second spring ball, going into our third season here, and to see the kids kind of pick up where we left off at the end of the season and the playoffs has been really nice.
Okay, so kind of you got graduation coming up here in a couple of weeks, which is a big thing, but that also means there's going to be some kids that play key roles on your team that
Mm-hmm.
are going to move on. So kind of walk us through who you're losing, who might step into those roles, who's going to be back, what kind of roles they may play on the team in the fall.
Well, I was very pleased with our senior class that's graduating. There wasn't a lot of them, but the ones we had worked really hard. They showed up every day, wanting to be coached, basically saying, what do we need to do to get better? What can we do to be successful? And in the short time that we got to be with them, we had less than 1 year. As soon as the season's over, Coach I always listened to and talked to a lot. He always said, it's 9 months. It's like a pregnancy, and so you gotta take those 9 months and develop those guys as best they can before you release them, and those guys showed up every day, worked their tails off, and that's why we were able to flip it from 0-10 to a playoff season. And, so we're going to miss those guys, and because they work so hard, put in those hours that we ask them to do extra and stuff. 10 of them got offers out of we had 14 total, and 10 of them have gotten offers, and really probably could have gotten a couple more if they was what they wanted to do is go on and play. But that's a testament to how hard they worked, and they were coachable. They just said, coaches, hey, what do we need to do? And they did it. And, so we got, Justin Strong is going to be tough to replace. He played both sides of the ball for us and punted for us. He's going to play at Texas State. On our line, Blaine Mueller, our center, is going to be very hard to replace. A guy who's like 99 point something on his 99.7% on his snaps, I think, or something like that. Always got everybody in the right spot. Jackie Williams was great at left tackle for us. Sebastian Jackson was a solid running back. Johnny Murin at safety with Justin was great at linebacker. We had Cameron Hardy. Kevin Love up front was really strong for us. We had Jeremiah Harvey and Leo Ochoa at receiver. Those guys are going to be tough to replace, just because they showed up and worked hard every day, were coachable. They knew what to do. They bonded well together. So that's going to be tough to replace. But that happens every year. You're going to lose guys, that were either your top players or your top producers. and you got to figure out how to go to the next season. And it's not really about replacing them. It's about who can take over those roles. And, we've got a good core coming back. We've got 8 guys on defense returning, the 8 starters. Now we only have 5 on offense, but the ones we do have coming up on offense are athletic. They're hungry. They want to be playmakers, and that sort of stuff. So they've definitely got some talent. So we're excited about the guys that are going to fill in for those guys that are gone. With the 8 guys coming back on defense that started, I mean, I feel really good about what can happen on defense. We've got a solid core of linebackers, and then our front guys. We've got, I would say we have 6 for sure that can rotate in and out, and we're not gonna. It's not like you have a first group and then you drop off to a second group. It's just, hey, these guys are in, and then they come out and they rotate through, and the other guys are just as good. And so I feel good about our front 7 for sure defensively, and then we've got some young athletic guys in the secondary that I think are going to make plays for us. Having our quarterback back and Nathan Lewis is going to be, a big deal for us. With 3 guys on our offensive line coming back who have started and been solid up front, I'm just really excited about this season and how I think we can take another step of not just getting into the playoffs, but maybe being a team that people are concerned about having to play.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about that. So kind of walk us through who's in your district and what district you face up with in the early rounds of the playoffs.
So our district, when they redistricted before this last season, we went a little bit different than what we were previously. We kept Leander Rouse and we kept Pflugerville Conley, but Pflugerville dropped from 5A D1 to D2. Belton, because of the opening of Lake Belton, dropped all the way from 6A down to 5A D2. But what a lot of people don't understand is that they may have lost student population, but they pretty much have the same 6A football team that they had. It's not a bunch of those guys that are playing and were producers or in line to be starters for them. They're not jumping ship. Those guys are staying right there to be, the next guy in line for a strong 6A playoff team from the year before. So those guys are going to be a force. We gained Colleen Chaparral as well, the new school over there in Colleen, and those guys play very hard. And then who am I missing? Oh, Waco University. Waco University is the other team to finish out our district, and they traditionally have gone north, but a lot of those schools they were in district with, like Aledo and those guys, went up to D1 to 5A D1, and so they had to find a place for university, and that was to come south and with our district, and so those guys have a lot of talent as well. They traditionally, I know, struggled to win a lot of games, but last year they found a way to get in the playoffs, and they were tough. It was a game right down to the end for us to beat them.
So you've been around coaching for a good while. I mean, you've coached at big schools, you've coached at small schools. So take a step back from necessarily Elgin and look at the big picture of Texas high school athletics. What would you say the biggest challenge facing Texas high school athletics right now is?
Honestly, I think it's everything that we see on social media, where it's fun for these kids to get offers and get recruited. That's fun, and it should be fun for them. But there's so much. I'm going here, and then now we're going to go transfer portal, or where can I go to get an NIL deal? Well, only a certain amount of those kids are going to be at a level where they're going to get those deals, unless the college does, which I know a lot of them are, especially in Texas, where they're making it more, trying to level the playing field for those guys and not have some guys getting deals where they're making tons of money and other guys on the team aren't making anything. And so they're trying to kind of level that out a little bit, I know, but that's challenging because as well as I do that everything trickles down, and we now have the 2 things that we've heard of this year is Should high school players be allowed to sign NIL deals? Now, and I mean that you talk about happening fast. I mean, it just started in college, and now they're talking about should we allow it in high school? I mean, where's it going to stop? We're going to go all the way down to Pee Wee, and Pop Warner football, and let kids, sign with the local grocery store to pay them money to. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about, but it just keeps trickling down. And so that NIL stuff, and then also the the transfer portal, because now they've even got in Texas legislature right now a proposal for kids to be able to transfer to a high school for athletic purposes and be able to play. That's going to create a severe situation in high school sports. Where when you want to win, it's not mostly about talent. It's about the culture you develop. It's about the kids playing together, trusting their coaches, and playing for a team. And what we're running into is the more and more it's about me, and it's about one person, and all that does is create division. It creates a lack of trust. It creates a people, instead of pouring into working hard to help their team to be the best that they can be and be successful. It's about, well, if this isn't exactly what I want, where can I go and get what I want, even if that's not what's best for them? If a kid wants to play quarterback, but that's not where they need to be, and it may not just be for that team. They need to be, maybe their best position is not quarterback. Then they're going to try to say, well, I'm going to find a place where I can go play quarterback. And that may or may not happen, and so all they've done is not only hurt the team that they could have helped, they've hurt themselves in their development, because they're just trying to look for what they want as opposed to what's best for them and the team that they're on. And so I think both of those two things kind of together are going to become a challenge for high school, whether or not they allow those things to occur in high school or not. It creates a challenge just because of what kids are seeing, hearing, and what they're looking for. And then it's not just and a lot of times it's not the kids too. It's the parents who are looking for parents want the best for their kids, but a lot of times what's best for kids is not what happens. And your kids need to go through adversity. They need to be allowed to be coached tough. They need to be to learn how to give up their self for their team, and those kind of things are not what's being preached and put out there, especially in social media. So that makes it challenging for us to build a culture and a program that allows kids to learn how to be unselfish, go through adversity, be tougher on the other side, so that they can be successful.
Now let's go from the heavy big picture topic down to the hopefully somewhat humorous small picture topic. Let's learn a little bit about Heath Clawson. What would you say your number one guilty pleasure is? And it can't be watching Jet play T-ball.
Oh man, I would say honestly, it's probably different than what you were thinking I was going to say, but Dr. Pepper. I love Dr. Pepper, and man, I tell you what, I say I'm going to drink a little less, and I find myself still picking up a Dr. Pepper instead of water too often. So I try, but I love Dr. Pepper. And I guarantee you my wife and my sister-in-laws and all them, my coaching staff would jump on that too. And they'd say probably the same thing.
Very good. Well, that's, I get the draw. Someone posted on Twitter some years ago. It's like I went to a restaurant and they didn't have Dr. Pepper or sweet tea. What do you order? And I said, an investigation.
That's good. Yeah, that would be me. And I'll tell you, I'll add on to that a little bit. This kind of just came up. I was we went to Colorado for over Christmas break, and my son wanted to see snow, so we went up there and did a little snow tubing and got to see a lot of snow up there, so it was fun. And on our way back, we stopped at a gas station, and I'm getting a fountain Dr. Pepper, one night, I look and there's a strawberry flavoring. And for some reason, I said, I'll throw a little strawberry. I like strawberries, so I put some strawberry flavor in my Dr. Pepper for some weird reason. And I thought, as I drank it, I said, this is actually pretty good. And so now every now and then at Sonic, I'll get a Dr. Pepper and have them put real strawberries in. It's actually pretty good. So kind of double down on that guilty pleasure there. I kind of enjoy that.
I'm a big strawberry fan, but I've never thought of that. I'm going to have to try that.
Yeah. Well, I tell my wife it's healthier now for me. So.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for your time today. Best of luck as you wrap up 2022, and best of luck into the 2023 season.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it.
LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.